Hey everybody, welcome back inside another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. Today is August 13th, 2018, and boy do we have a show for you. This was one of those shows that just set up to be meh. Whatever. 20 minutes, we're in and we're out. Hit a few things, gone. Off to the next one. And then even next week's show. Probably not going to be a fantastic one either, at least in theory, because Japan is currently on summer vacation for the most part. And I realize it sounds ridiculous to say the country is on vacation, but very much a traditional country over there. They take breaks, and right now, all of the vendors, and it appears to be most of the model companies and accessory companies, Geo27, things like that, are all on vacation this week. It is summer break, so there is nothing forthcoming out of there. They will be open for like 2 days at the end of this week, so maybe some things will come out at the end of this week that we can talk about next show. If not, yeah, we'll see if we hold a show or not, just because of the fact that right now there really isn't anything set to come out other than that. But you know what? For once, Revell has saved the day, at least this video. We have some major breaking news out of that, as well as we have the kit announcements for the rest of October spot releases from Aoshima. A couple of things have come out for November, and they're not like earth-shattering, oh my god, but they are November kit releases. We had some blink and you missed it BMAX news, because a whole bunch of stuff was announced on Spot Model, and I'm pretty sure none of it was supposed to be released to the public, but too late, I have copy and paste abilities. So there's some really cool stuff if you're into touring car racing to talk about there, that you will not be able to find anywhere else online at this point, because Spot Model has, of course, if not deleted entirely, they've certainly removed from the public access the kit descriptions for these kits and things like that. But again, we caught them before they went down. I don't even know if it was, it might be one of those intentional leak kind of things, because of course a great deal of people actually ended up seeing these, and aside from being posted on message boards by myself, they were referenced a number of times on Facebook and things like that. So it may have been just a little tiptoed, gauge the interest thing, and the interest was strong. So I guess we'll start off with okay, fine, we'll start off with the Revell stuff, because I know that you people want to know. If you guys follow the back and forth that Scott and I seem to have out of Elm City Hobbies, pretty much every video, not complaining, just stating a fact, he had mentioned that he had done the completely and totally audacious thing of actually contacting Revell via Facebook, asking them what was going on. And they responded back to him that they were in the process of building a sales office, and that they expected kits to resume, production in the fall. So that was sort of a, okay. It's an interesting addition to the picture that we got last week of them moving the Elk Grove Village tooling to the West Chicago facility that ran that tooling. They're going to obviously store that stuff for them. A lot of people, this was obviously leaked out beyond that, because other people were doing the same thing. I'm not going to say that people saw Scott's comment and then went and looked, but a number of vendors are also getting kind of antsy, obviously, contacted Revell, and so the whisper started coming out. There's going to be something in Illinois. Hey, they're going to open us. So, I wanted to point out up front that they're opening a sales office in the United States. In order to get these massive quantities of model kits shipped in from China and from Germany, we covered this when the sale went down, there has to be some facility, I always said faculty, but some facility here with people inside of it to receive that stuff. It's imported things. I hear a lot of people can constantly have the refrain of, there are no customs duties or taxes on model kits. There are no customs duties and taxes on model kits in the United States. That is true. If you go to Hobby Link Japan, you buy a model kit, you ship it to the United States, they're not going to charge you $10 to import it to the United States. That is not necessarily the truth in other countries. Go ask your friends in Great Britain. However, if you were to import a container of model kits for the intent of selling them to other people, guess what? Some people are going to want some money. The customs are going to want some money. IRS is going to want some money at some point anyway. And now those model kits have the additional layer of complexity of being Chinese produced, US stored and distributed German goods, because remember, Germany owns all that stuff now, so there's like 3 levels of importation to that. So they need somebody here who can pay the drayage fees, pay the dock fees, pay the port fees, because there's unloading fees and then there's actually docking the boat fees. I mean, it's like running a car. Do you want the supplemental insurance? Sure you do. And then pay to have somebody put it on a train, which is part of the drayage fees. And then they got to pay the train for transporting. And then they got to pay local drayage for taking it off the train and taking it to whatever new facility that they're building for their sales warehouse. So I'm assuming that they're not legitimately building a building. They were building a team in the sense of people, and obviously they're going to put them in a facility. Because even Revell, who had been in Elk Grove Village for all this time, they didn't own the building they were in. They leased office space. So obviously it'd be the same sort of thing here. Plus, when you consider the fact that Hobby Lobby is their largest customer by far and buys somewhere between 1/2 and 2/3 of every production run of every Revell kit made, and a lot of people will argue that number with me, but here's the thing. There are something like 780 some odd Hobby Lobbies. If every single Hobby Lobby ordered one of every kit, that's 789 kits, right? Let's do some quick math. I wish I could pop this up on the screen for you so you can see this, but we won't. But, 789 by 12, that's 65 3/4 cases of every single model kit they're getting a chunk of. Now, obviously, some Hobby Lobbies sell more models than others, and Hobby Lobby managers in the departments are obviously in charge of ordering things, from stores, but, they're not Hobby Lobby corporate is not, while they're stealing Iraq and antiquities, buying, one model per store. They're buying several models per store, possibly cases of models per store. So when you start going into the idea that there's 780 stores, we'll just do this for rounding, and they're each buying half a case of every model, that's 4,680 models that they're doing. You divide it by caseload, now they're buying 390 cases of every model. They make about 841 cases of every model. And that's on the idea of they're buying only half cases of each thing. More likely they're buying one case of everything. Now you're at 789, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. You quickly see how they're buying half of a run of every kit. You figure in Hobbytown USA, you figure in, your Stevens International Squadron. What is it? I'm trying to think of what Hobby Time. There's a couple other major distributors, major players out there, plus, of course, the possibility that, in the future still, because this was supposed to stop happening, but last time I checked anyway, it was still there. Let me do a live check for you people to prove the point here. Typity, typity, typity. Plastic models still exists. So Tower Hobbies, even though it's integrated now with Horizon, and this was the whole thing. Oh, they're not going to carry models after like September. They're not going to. No, they sell too much of them. I mean, even if it's not their primary deal, they still sell too many of them in order to really just slough off that entire business line. And let's see if they've put in any of the new stuff here. Because obviously the Revell stuff, a lot of the Revell stuff is order pending because it's out of stock, because, a great deal of that stuff went away. I'm just trying to see if they are showing the new thing. I don't think they are. Much of that stuff. Tower Hobbies is impossible to go through because it's just sort of in whatever order they decided to put it in, rather than it being in alphabetical or stock number order or anything else like that. So, yeah, this was a big deal because obviously them having a facility here means that they can start importing things over here, be it kits made in Poland or kits made in China. And, like I said, you have these major companies that are buying the majority of the runs, right? Because even your local hobby shop, they're getting the local hobby shop isn't going to, Great Plains, when it existed, obviously was a branch of Tower Hobbies, but your local hobby shop is not going to Revell per se and saying, hi, I like 3 of these and 2 of those and a half a case of this. They're going through one of these major distributors, and that's how you sell out the run of a model kit, is you sell them all, into distribution. Revell, and I'm pretty sure probably under the new management, really doesn't care whether or not the distributors can move them. They just want to get rid of them. So they need that sales force on the ground here to deal with those major U.S. accounts. Somebody, and I'm not going to dignify the name, made a ass of themselves online, pardon the French, by saying, well, I operate this I can operate from my desktop, my kitchen counter via Skype and order stuff from all of my facilities across the globe and ship it within 48 hours. Yeah, well, that's great if you're sending 2 widgets to Pakistan. We're not talking, but you're also not sending a container's worth of model kits to the United States and distributing them to someplace who's buying 2/3 of that container's worth of model kits. Levels of scale. People become important enough customers ordering enough things want a dedicated sales representative attached to them. Trust me, I'm in transportation industry. I am in the distribution industry, have been for my entire adult life. You may consult a business here and there, and that's fine and dandy, good for you, but that doesn't mean you understand the fundamental background information of how distribution and importation and all that stuff works. It's completely different if you're FedExing a couple of boxes someplace and it is trying to transport an entire tractor trailer load of something that doesn't belong in this country, in the sense it wasn't made here, into this country. So, yay, sales team. But what that does not mean, and the important part is that it is not an R&D team, that is not a design team, that is not a molding team, it is not a manufacturing facility. What I'm about to show you on screen here is the other half of the big news. But I have seen people already complaining about it in the sense that this means that the kits are still being made in China, and they said they were going to mold things in the United States. Hold on. You read a thread on a message forum that was titled something Revell U.S. molding, and it was about them moving those old tools to someplace else in Illinois, across town, basically, as it runs out. Nobody from Revell or Blitz ever said anything about them molding anything in the United States. That guy did, who was taking a post from somebody else on Facebook. It wasn't even that guy's information. They're not going to start molding things in the United States that don't already exist here in the United States. We've explained this 2 times, but I'm going to tell you one more time that at the moment, now does that mean in the future it will never happen? Maybe Savita's JR proves economy of scale and it can work. Or maybe you'd like to buy a hat from them, but that's another thing entirely. The idea that they're going to somehow put onto a boat millions of dollars worth of tooling. Now, I realize that they only paid $49,999 for it, but they're going to put on what is effectively $3 million worth of tooling onto boats in containers. Good thing I have a sales office to pay the customs duties on those things, right? They're going to put these thousands of tools onto thousands of containers, ship them to the United States, hope like hell an Aurora train wreck disaster doesn't happen on the way, and then they're going to run them where? And where are they going to store all of this stuff? I mean, that's a lot of big, bulky stuff. It's in China. Everybody has the contract with this place in China. Revell Germany did. Now Blitz obviously is just picking the contract up. It's one of the few things that they did not reject the contracts for. Obviously, they've got to figure out, a new arrangement with them because Habaco owes the molding facilities millions of dollars, but, be that as it may, Blitz doesn't, so new friendships are made, and that's just the way it's going to be. Are they ever going to pull it out? Probably not. I mean, you could start making new tools in the United States, but the idea that you were going to pick all that stuff and move it again at this point in time seems kind of unreasonable. And I want to just point out the fact that maybe it was at one point in time, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, but right now, some of the most skilled people in mold cutting, mold, polishing and finishing and doing all the real fine detail work that goes into it, putting like scripts into molds and things like that. All of the people, the craftsmen that do that type of work, there are, of course, people here in the United States who can do that sort of thing, but the top of the profession, the people who know how to do it, whether anybody likes it or not, are the Chinese. They have made an industry out of this, of just making plastic things in general, but obviously in hobby kits specifically. That's where the people that do this stuff are. We've seen what happens when you give it to the Polish. It's not that great a result. Maybe they'll make make strides, but at the moment, the Panamera proves that the Polish people are not up on it yet. So there's that. Please get it out of your head that Revell is going to suddenly open up a Dyersville, Iowa-esque AMT Erdl U.S. production facility, because it's not gonna happen. At least not right this moment in time. Could it happen? Possibly. Is it gonna happen now, before the end of 2018? No, it's not. But let's talk about some stuff that will happen out of Revell in 2018. Yes, so here is a little, I guess technically it's a Excel spreadsheet. Probably more of a Google Doc, but anyway, this is an Excel spreadsheet that has been passed around by the distributors to show what is the projected restocking of Revell kits coming up. This will start next month, theoretically speaking. Probably more likely October, but they are throwing a few things out there September, October, so it'll be late September. And first thing you'll be drawn to this when you look at it is everything in red that says new. Okay, a lot of the stuff in the terms of like half of it or more is not new. It is reissues that were on that slate of things that were supposed to be done in 2018, first quarter and second quarter, and they have new stock numbers, or new part numbers as the Revell people would call them. So that is why the 69 Dodge Charger Daytona is listed as new in October, because it has a completely new stock number from the last time it was reissued. Same thing with the Cadillac Escalade. It's not going to be in the big weird box that it was in the last time. It's going to be in a more traditional model size box like it came originally, and because of that, it has a new stock number. Now, what is new will be the first thing on this list, which is that Grease Lightning 1948 Ford convertible. Obviously, this skin has the parts in it to replicate the movie car, and then you can build a factory stock 48 Ford convertible out of it. The other things that would be new on this list would be over there in November and December, where the Boss 302 Mustang, which of course is the retooled body on the old Mustang with a new engine and stuff like that. It's not a new tool completely, but it is a bunch of new parts put into the existing 69 Mustang tooling. Thank God it fixes the front end. And then the one thing on here that is brand new, and this is confirmed, I've checked enough places, talked to enough people, this really is a real thing, is that 1968 Chevelle SS. Now, going to NNL East for years and years, there's always, when Revell started coming to the show, they would have a great big legal pad, and you could write down your wish kits on it. For years and years, I put 69 Chevelle SS in there, because those AMT kits, while buildable, are really, really old and really, really subpar in 2000 and 2000 and whatever year, 2018 being the least of your concerns. So this is something that was in the works at Revell before they closed. It had actually gotten to test shot phase. Had not been announced, probably was going to come out third quarter, fourth quarter of 2018. So this is technically not even like out of the realm of possibility. It's not like Revell Blitz shoved this through and did something to it. It's just where it was going to probably come out anyway. But it does prove, aside from the fact that Blitz is melting the tools down in all that nonsense, that they are going to continue not only doing the kits that were supposed to come out at the beginning of the year, but they're also following through on tooling that was in the process of being done. Can that please resound in your head? Not only are they doing the kits that were supposed to be done, but they're continuing to do the kits that were going to be done. For all those people that were insisting that they were going to turn this into Tamiya and make it nothing but import cars. Now, I think they'd still like to turn it into Tamiya in the sense of volume and professionalism and hopefully molding quality and build quality, although the building part's not really been the problem, it's been the accuracy. Of a Tamiya, that would be perfectly fine with me. But a lot of people took I've said it on this channel before that they want to become the next Tamiya, become the European Tamiya. Everybody freaked the F out because they thought I meant that they were going to only do Porsches and Lamborghinis and things like that. That wasn't what I meant, and I cleared that up, but nobody cared. They didn't want to hear it, and this is obviously now concrete proof of that, is it not? That you were panicking at the disco for nothing, and obviously they're not going to stop making U.S. cars. You wouldn't buy a U.S. company for the strict purpose of shutting it down, which they didn't do. Remember, that's Habakkuk's bankruptcy people that shut Revell down. I'm tired of hearing about how Blitz did it. And, just sit on these tools like some sort of, Jabba the Hutt, cackling, hugging a 69 Charger tool like Carrie Fisher. So, other interesting notes on here would be October, you're getting both the Broncos rerun as well as the Foose pickup truck. So that clearly shows that even though the Foose licensing had expired prior to the Revell sale, the new folks at Revell, period, have managed to secure new licensing with Foose, so that may be hopefully an indication we'll get some more Foose stuff. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing, but be that as it may. What is interesting is, let's listen, I know it's not on the screen for you anymore, but I'm still looking at it, is the fact that there's several things on this list that are being rerun, and they are things that were not scheduled to be run in terms of things that we knew about. Examples of that would be like the Smokey and the Bandit Firebird. That was not a scheduled reissue. The 65 Impala was not a scheduled reissue. Both of the 69 Chevy Novas were not scheduled reissues. And they're kits that are out of stock and haven't been run for a while. And so they're clearly just, not only are they producing a bunch of model kits at one time, they're also producing a bunch of things that are not just restocks of existing kits. They're pushing out some things that had fallen out of the catalog as well. So very cool to see. I don't need a Grease Lightning Ford. I already have a 48 Ford, and the movie is my mom's issue, not mine. But the 68 Chevelle, which by the way, has been confirmed that through the back channels, that it can be also built as a 69 Chevelle. So Yenko Chevelle, yes, maybe. They obviously thought far enough ahead because, again, Revell, any company at this point in time, 3 to 5 versions to any tooling in order to make it financially viable. So I'm very excited for the Chevelle. I'm hoping this is not like the last hurrah of Revell's design team, where they managed to screw the pooch on this one final time on the way out the door. But yeah, it's very cool to see that pop up on there. And a bunch of people online were saying, oh, hey, and in the last thing for Model House I ordered, I got the conversion from the 68 Chevelle to the 69 Chevelle parts and this, that, and the other thing. And they want to take credit for the kit being out. Well, I'm going to take a high five on the way out the door, too, because I've been requesting that kit for the last 10 years. Which proves, again, I don't also just build Japanese stuff, or German race cars, for that matter. But, yeah, excellent news. Very good to see. I know a lot of people have been in panic mode since April. So that's 4 months of high stress over plastic models. Probably really not the best way to live your life, but be that as it may. It's, yay, good to see, right? I can't wait to hear all the people tell me how awful this is. Because it's not made in the United States. Seriously, I've seen that, and it's just ridiculous. Now, where does Revell go forward from there? I don't know. It remains to be seen exactly, like I said, how big a sales force and team they put together in the United States, if that's going to require or have a representative here in the sense of like somebody run their social media and things like that, or if that's all going to be done from Germany and these guys are strictly a sales and distribution force. I'm thinking that you would need some people on the ground to provide, if nothing else, research material for a lot of this stuff. Now, people can obviously fly over from Dusseldorf or wherever and measure cars out, but I think having somebody on the ground here to do those things, if they're going to continue to make, United States cars, even though there's not technically a United States facility, remains to be important as well. So, go buy your models. Right now there's several hundred people on eBay who are weeping into their Wheaties because they have, like, the Foose pickup truck has been selling on eBay for like $40, $50 because people can't find them. I've actually seen somebody who bought one for $100. Bought it, not just listed, bought the kit for $100. There's actually one on eBay, if we're talking about listings, listed for $238 with $13 worth of shipping. The speculation people are going to get burned in a couple of weeks here, because those kits are going to come back into the country. People are going to hopefully see this video, see posts online, see us pushing. I really want to make a major push from everybody who has a social media account that can, put this information out there, that this stuff is coming back. I can, provide you with a spreadsheet link if you can't find it on Facebook yourself. Go on to Stevens International and go under the Revell kits, and you will see new tool beside the 68 Revell. It says like TBA, like to be announced, because they don't tend to put anything. They don't put release dates on their information. Everything will say TBA until it's in stock. And you'll see a lot of Revell stuff as TOS, which is temporarily out of stock. But this stuff is coming back. Now, a lot of people will throw fit because the 29 Ford isn't on there, but, give them time. There was supposed to be, 9, I think there were 6 to 8 kits on the original first quarter sheet, and then there were another 5 on the second quarter sheet. Let them get caught up. This is just, it's like trying to start a lawnmower with a bad spark plug. Just let them get it going, and once it's running, then you can complain about things that are not on that list as things go along. I'd be very interested to see how they're going to handle, like, just putting out information in terms of what kits are coming and new announcements. If they're going to do that, like I said, solely out of Germany, and we'll have to wait basically until January 1st when Revell does their big information dump for the Revell of Germany stuff. All the U.S. stuff will be in there with it, and it's going to be one of those situations where everything will come out, all the information will come out at once, or if we will continue having somebody here in the United States sort of man the Revell U.S. website, as it were, to continue putting up that month-by-month release schedule like they were prior to everything going kablooey. The other thing about having people here in the United States is the parts service thing has completely fallen apart, right? You can't request replacement parts right now because there isn't any place to request the parts from. The U.S. people obviously haven't worked since April. The people in Germany, who everyone is outraged that they weren't supplying the parts from, well, they don't have any kits to supply the parts from, right? It's not like Revell, like Blitz Revell of Germany, has any Foos pickup trucks to cut apart and send to you. Nobody has any. That's why they have to run some more. And that sort of thing has happened, throughout even the aircraft armor and everything else kits, where people were just outraged that the people in Germany don't have a parts supply. Well, if Germany hasn't run the kit like they did with like the Shelby 1 and the 97 flare side pickup truck and things like that, they don't have the parts on hand. There was $3 million worth of inventory, which got distributed out to down the stream, because there's some Hobby Lobbies that have gotten in, like Baja Broncos and things like that. So all that stuff got sent out to customers who were able to order it, and now there isn't anymore, which is why the Baja Bronco is on that release schedule for October, because they're going to do another run of it, because that kit really didn't get a fair shake in terms of being out there before everything fell apart. I'm good. I'm good with this news. I mean, I know it's not what everybody wants in the sense of rehiring Ed Sexton and everybody and putting the building back in Elk Grove Village and making it exactly the way it was, and nothing bad ever happened. Blah, 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 blah. But I just roll with this, and let's take the good news and run, instead of being all cranky about the good news isn't exactly what the good news is supposed to be. If you think that is outlandish, I just had a conversation with somebody online this week that was around the Mitsubishi Galant, Colt Galant MR GTO kit, the new Hasegawa release we talked about last video, saying that the Hasegawa is doing everyone a disservice because they are not releasing a US spec left-hand drive version of that kit. And why can't we have stuff for us? The Colt Galant GTO MR was never imported to the United States. As a matter of fact, it was very few exports of that car were done at all, and they went to New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and Ireland for the most part. Few other, Asian countries, but the most part, those very few exports that went out went to New Zealand, the UK, and Ireland. I give you one guess as to what those 3 countries have in common. The steering wheel over on this side, where the Japanese people drive. There are no left-hand drive versions of that car. So it's like, how do you want them to release a kit of something that doesn't exist? Not only was there not a US spec one to begin with, but there weren't any left-hand drive ones to begin with. What? Sometimes the people who I share this hobby with scare me greatly. So let's talk now about some kit announcements. This stuff for October from Aoshima is just restocked, so like they do every month, a bunch of stuff just getting restocked. Volkswagen Beetle 1303S. Please stop buying that kit. Make them make a new one. 82 Celica XX. 2000 Nissan Elgrin Fabulous, so VIP van. 17-inch BBS RG. 19-inch Advan Racing GTs. 19-inch Advan Racing RG3s. The Cedric 2000 four-door hardtop Grand Champion reissue, Skyline 2000 Turbo Grand Champion reissues. So, again, we're not only seeing the next more Grand Champ series be announced, but we're also getting reissues of the Grand Champion series. So this look like they'll hang around for a little bit anyway. Reissue of the Lamborghini Murcielago Super Veloce. It's been a little while since that kit has been reissued. Also getting the photo etch for that as well. Getting reissues of the initial D Battle series. Remember, these kits came out probably 2 years ago at this point. Some retooled parts to make Rin Hyojo's and Ryosuke Takahashi's R32 and FC3S RX7 respectively. Reissue of the Back to the Future DeLoreans 1, 2, and 3. I have to look backwards because this had to have just been reissued. I know I didn't talk about them that long ago. February. So February to October. What is that? That's 6 months, right? Yes, it is. So, or 8 months. So those are coming back out. Also getting a reissue of the Nissan Laurel Liberty Walk and the R35 GTR Liberty Walk version 1. Then we go to November, for which I said we got a couple of kit announcements for. One out of Fujimi, as they're going to reissue the 1/12th scale Nissan R32 GTR, this time in the Nismo spec. So that's a different set of wheels, the Nismo decals, things like that. And then over at Aoshima, you're going to get a model car lineup reissue of the 2000 Toyota Mark II Toro 5. That'd be the JZX 100. That kit got reissued most recently, I think it was in 2012. So this is a rebox into the model car lineup boxes, and then a reissue of the 1999 Nissan Silvia S15 Spec R, Spec S. Interesting piece of that would be the fact that, in addition to it being a little while since the Nissan Silvia kit, S15 kit has been redone, is the fact that it's going to have all the aero parts in it. It doesn't say that it's going to have the aero parts wheels. So it may be just the regular Spec R wheels and not the Nismo wheels. But Aoshima's never done a Spec S. All of their S15s have been Spec Rs. Now, the Spec S is, the more luxurious of the two, if you will. The Spec R was more of a, performance, aimed, orientated, there we go, model. And by the time we got into 1999, there were only two, the Spec R and Spec S were the only two things you could get a S15 Silvia made as. So I'm assuming it's just some decals, maybe deletion of the rear wing will get you a Spec S. So it's not like something they couldn't have done in the past, but just interesting that they're just, it's just a little extra sort of something to sort of try to sell you a model kit there. And then also on the November list now is the 1999 Mazda RX-7. That is an FD3S in the Innocent Blue mica pre-paint. Now, if that sounds vaguely familiar to you, it's because that kit was supposed to come out back in May, and it did not. The vintage red one came out, but the Innocent mica one did not, and there was never really any reason as to why it didn't, but it has been put back on the schedule for November. Also, for the people who are waiting for the R34 four-door 25 GT Turbo kit, the new tool that was announced back at Shizuoka, that is now just 2018 as a release. It has no month. It was supposed to come out last month, and then it was supposed to come out this month, and now it has been taken off of the release schedule with a specific date. Now it just says coming in 2018. So I'm not exactly sure what the issue is there, but clearly they're not happy with something in the production and the molding and the tooling. So for people who are like me, have one on pre-order or who are waiting, we can skate on that for right now because it doesn't have a specific date. Looks like all the rest of the August kits will. The box arts are done with them, but that specific kit is still a little AWOL at this time. Let's see. My battery's going to die since I got 19 minutes remaining, so we're going to have to crank out this video without stuttering too much. So another announcement that was done, made on Facebook was this. This is going to be the Hawaiian Tropic livery. And this is going to be Salvino's JR reissue of their Oldsmobile kit. Keep in mind, the Oldsmobile kit is getting a number of upgrades done in the Monte Carlo kit. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it also sort of kind of makes sense. It makes you buy a model to fix a model, and at the same time, it keeps them from having to try to send parts out to people. They're going to retool the front bumper, they're going to retool the front grille, and they're also going to retool the rear bumper, which eliminates 3 of the biggest problem areas on the car as far as externally visible inaccuracies. Now, there's a whole thing with the side body not being quite done right, but it's one of those things that, depending on the livery and the paint scheme, some of the real cars look like they don't have a body crease where the kit is missing one either. This is going to be a very, very limited run. It's only going to be 2,500 kits. It is just a reissue. They just got Donnie Allison's licensing. If you do not want to buy this kit because you are still of the mind, as I am, that it has a wildly incorrect rear suspension, a wildly incorrect front suspension, and this reissue will still have incorrect bumpers, Mike's Decals sells, I believe they're Power Slides, a livery sheet for this car. Actually, we'll also make a 73 Laguna and a 77 or 78 Monte Carlo. So the reason why they're doing a very small run on this, obviously, is, well, it's limited edition. Oh my god, limited edition! Plus, it's a livery that already exists. So 2,500 kits worldwide, should be able to sell those out, much like they have with, for the most part, with the Grey Ghost kit. And if you want to build this car, but you don't want to suck up to this until they fix the thing, don't necessarily worry about that, because aftermarket decals already exist for it. That takes us to the B-Max, Big T's B-Max thing that happened this week. They put out, well, they probably told Spot Model, here's some things that are going to be made in the future. And Spot Model was like, oh, okay, and boom, put them out for public consumption. I don't think that that was supposed to happen necessarily. Of these things I'm going to show you, only 2 of them are actually something you can find on Spot Model right now, and neither one of them are exactly revolutionary in the sense of what they represent. But there are some other things that we are going to show you that are not public information, but they were, so technically they are. And nobody's contacted me from B-Max going, don't you dare talk about those. So we're gonna go ahead and walk that fine line. Okay, so first up is the announcement of this. It is a reissue, basically, of the BMW E30 M3 DTM kit. This is going to have a 2-in-1 livery option to build either the FINA car or the Jägermeister car. Decals already exist on the aftermarket for the Jägermeister car from Decalcosts. And it is this specific livery with the numbers and everything that's seasoned. So that's something that, if you bought the decals, you don't need 2 of these. The FINA decals do want that, so I'll be picking up 1 of them to build the 1 scheme. The other kit that they announced that is still on Spot Model is this, which has nothing on it, but it is the Porsche 935 Kremer 3. Now, I'd already hinted around to you guys, if you paid attention, that this was something that was coming. It was a given. It was something that had been confirmed by B-Max to distributors in Asia, because it's not going to be too terribly far down the road in 2019. And this car specifically represents the winning car for the 1979 Le Mans, I believe it is. So that is coming. Now, something else is based off that tooling that is coming, but is not technically public anymore, will be this. And this is just the Porsche 935 Group 5. So this is a non-Kremer Porsche 935. This car, as it represents, is the 2nd place finisher, 1st place class winner, 1979 24 Hours of Le Mans Dick Barber racing car. A very famous car. It was driven by Dick Barber and Paul Newman, among others. So when we get this kit, we don't know. I can't say, but it will be a non-Kremer version. Now, the 935 looks like a 935. The Kremer Racing were upgrades to the original 935. As it stands, this car in real life was just a 935, and that's it. It was not a Kremer. So now let's go talk about some BMWs that you're not supposed to know about, but I'm going to tell you about anyway. We have first up this. This is going to be a one. I know they. Oh, by the way, I know that BMW M3 thing said 1/20th on it. That was a misprint. If you didn't notice, Jägermeister was spelled wrong. So they have this. This is the 1/24 scale BMW E46 Super 2000 series car. A lot of people would be like, 3 Series BMW sedan, so what? This would be the generation after the car that Hasegawa made. So this is very, very late 1990s and into early 2000s, the Super 2000, which was an engine size, not a year thing, but it goes into about the early 2000s was when they ran this car, with a BMW 320. So that's very cool to have come out. Say 2-in-1. It's 2 different Marlboro liveries. That would be very interesting to see come out in that fashion, Marlboro liveries. And then you have a couple more E46 M3s, and these are going to be coupes. You have the ETCC version. That'll be European Touring Car Championship. Very interesting about these two cars is both of these cars in the pictures represent Gia Race and Macau cars. The bottom one there clearly has a Watson's livery on it, and the top one, I'm not sure what the actual livery is. It might be Pro Audio, but definitely Gia Race and Macau cars. And then you have the E46 M3 GTR. Now, it'll be very interesting to see what they do livery-wise with this. This was a basically very, very tuned-up version of the other M3. It completely and totally dominated the 2001 American Le Mans series, to the point that objections were filed to it having run, because the car had a V8 in it, and obviously the M3 street car has a V6, or an inline 6, excuse me, in it. And BMW elected to not make... They made 12 of these cars, street cars, of the GTR, but the next year they would have had to make 500 of them, and they elected to pull out of the series entirely rather than make those 500 cars. These cars would then go on to have a semi-successful career at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, winning their class in 2004 and 2005. I'm not totally sure what the liveries, because the numbers are not clear enough, what the liveries are on here. They might be Nuremberg liveries. So again, be interesting to see what they do with the liveries on that. And then last but not least will be this, which is the BMW E90, which is an even later, obviously, version of the BMW M3. And this is the World Touring Car Championship car. I've seen a couple people say, oh, that'll look great next to my Cruise. It will, in a case, technically didn't race against each other because this car stopped right before the Cruise started. This car ran from basically the better half of the mid-2000s right up to about 2010, 2011. The Cruise represents a 2012. So the cars never actually ran against each other. Interesting here again, both of these cars are in Gia Race of Macau liveries. Watson's on the bottom, and sort of a Crown Plaza, and I'm not sure what the associates want. I can look up who ran the car, but at any rate, yeah, so if you were into touring cars, specifically BMW touring cars, although technically the Porsches are touring cars within the way that those cars were rated in group, very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Those years of BMW touring cars have been something that have been really missing for people who are, like me, into that type of racing. Now, I realize for the NASCAR folks, it's doing nothing for you, but for everyone beyond the United States who watches the show, happy times are here again. No idea when any of those are going to come out. There's probably a decent chance that the Jägermeister FINA 2-in-1 might come out in 2018. Outside chance that the K3 would, but more than likely early 2019. And the rest of those are 2019, into 2019. I'm assuming that all the BMWs have been pulled off the public side of things, because those were announcements that were supposed to be made at the Tokyo Model and Hobby Show that was coming up in October, not necessarily just randomly thrown on the spot model in the middle of August. So we will definitely keep our eyes out for those at that show. And I also talked to a friend who lives over in Macau who's been teasing me about what's going to be made this year, the plans that are upcoming for the next basically 18 months. And I said, oh, hey, is this the big stuff? I mean, because it's cool, but you were kind of leading me to believe it was something different. He's like, no, there's still other stuff coming. That's not all of it. So might be a very, very interesting fall announcement point for BMAX. And they are just really... came here to chew gum and kick ass, and they run out of gum, as the old saying would go. So we'll talk about our kit releases here real quick. There are only 3 of them. 2 of them are domestic, 1 overseas. The domestic things here are 2 kits from round 2. You have the AMT International Off-Road Scout SS2. This, of course, is a reissue of a kit that hasn't come out I'm not sure when the last time this was released. I had this information in my head and I didn't write it down. It's gone again. But this only makes the no door, no roof off-road Scout. The wheels are those sort of maggish wheels. There are no other options. The tires are sort of hogged out versions of other tires. There is a clear sheet of acetate for the windshield, so there's not an actual clear windshield piece. Got expanded decals. It now has like the side decals that are on the box art. It's a very, very simple kit. A lot of people complain about the contents and the accuracy of the engine and things like that. But again, this kit has not been offered for a really long time. I, again, personally would rather have the International Scout road car than the off-road one, but we'll see if that one doesn't come out sooner than later. And the other round 2 kit would be this. It is the 1940 Ford sedan Gasser. This is a 3-in-1. You can build a stock 40 sedan out of it. Build sort of a street rod kind of thing out of it. And then, of course, it comes with this drag version as well. What is not mentioned on the box art here, other than it being a mini box art, so they're going to stop making the original art series kits in those big goofy boxes, hopefully. More of a standard, this is a standard size model kit, and has sort of a 4x8 size picture inside, rather than being that big goofy, suitable for framing 8x11 thing. This is a reissue, artwork-wise, of a very rare 1970 version of this kit. Kit, obviously, much older than that. They've retooled the hood scoop for the drag racing, and supposedly they've retooled the body. Now, I don't necessarily think that means it's a new body tool, but they've apparently gone back in and fixed how the hood and the body fit together, which has always been a really big problem with this kit in general. You do get pad-printed drag slicks, pad-printed Firestones for the street rod, so that's something if you're into that era of car to look into. And then, last but not least, from Japan, we have this. It is the release of the Toyota Alphard 3.5L GF. So this here is finally, after we've talked about it a bunch of times, the urban upscale full-size van for the distinguished older clientele. It is molded in white pearl. It's shown there, down there at the bottom of the box. If you have a Velfire and you've been thinking about this, basically the entire front clip is different along with the wheels. There are a couple of different other pieces and parts on the inside that I believe that like the steering wheel is different and the seat pattern, upholstery pattern is different on the seats. This kit does come with a bunch of press-on Mylar stickers because it is one of these no paint, no glue next kits, but it does come with a small sheet of actual real decals for all of the Toyota logos, all the Alphard logos, all of the wording, because there's like 3.5L, script and things like that, the nav system, the dashboard itself. So it is one of those kits that includes enough grown-up parts to make it a feasible thing if you're into full-size Toyota vans. And I mean, seriously, who isn't at this point? So, guys, that about wraps it up. Hopefully, again, the Revell stuff is something that amuses your day today. If you're, if you care one way about or another about Revell at this point in your life, and yeah, some other cool things coming down the pipeline, and really can't wait till later this month, beginning of next month, we start getting that leaking information of what's coming out of the companies for the winter months, for the big announcements for the Tokyo Hobby and Model Show. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.